everyone. So one of the places we visited was the Yuma Territorial Prison, also famously known as the Hellhole Prison. I guess one of the quotes about this prison is that it was impossible to endure, but even more impossible to escape. It was opened in 1876 and lasted for 33 years. During these 33 years, 3,069 prisoners were housed here. It was actually Arizona's first territorial prison. And the reason it's nicknamed Hellhole Prison is because during the summertime, the temperatures in the cells reached up to 110 degrees. On average, each cell had about 6 men in it, and above the cells was actually a hospital. So it's said that throughout the entire day, prisoners could hear moaning from patients. A cool thing I learned about the prison that I thought was also a little bit ironic was when it closed in 1909, it was leased to the Yuma School District for $600 per semester. When I first saw the display, I got a kick out of it because their mascot is the criminals. So first thing I thought of, The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler. I mean, how can you not? Prisoners, criminals, playing sports, I had to. So another cool thing I thought about it was during the Depression, I guess the homeless people moved into the cells. I mean, not the greatest, but it's better than nothing, and it was some kind of shelter for them. And then between this time and the time it took for it to become a museum, it was then used for a dog pound. Of the 3,069 prisoners, 29 of them were women. The rest were all men. The youngest prisoner was 14 and the oldest prisoner was 88. 1878, they had their first woman prisoner, and they also had their first escape by a guy named J. Lewis. During the 33 years that the prison was open, 111 people died there. The main cause of death being tuberculosis. Out of that, 104 of them are buried in the prison cemetery, which is supposedly one of the most haunted cemeteries in the country. There, the bodies were just thrown and randomly buried. None of the graves are marked. It's complete randomness. No one knows where anybody is. Looking at the escapes, out of 33 years, only 138 attempts were made. Out of that, only 42 were actually successful. Better yet, only 2 of them were from inside the prison. The rest was all outside, like during work, constructing the new prison, or on the way to the prison that those prisoners escaped. Of the 2 people that did escape, it was from the new yard, and both of them were in the year 1900. The first one was by a person named Richard Lorraine. He sawed off the lock cell, and escaped over the wall. The second one was on November 10th by A.A. Stewart. He escaped over the wall by using a rope ladder, but it's not known how he managed to get out of his cell in the first place. Both of the guards that were on duty for his night were fired, as it is believed their inattention is what resulted in him getting away. Both of these men were never found again, though. Some believe that they did escape. Others believe that once they got outside of the prison, they fell in the river and drowned, or got hit by a train or something. There's a lot of different things. Quicksand, many possibilities. One of the creepiest parts about this prison was the dark cell, also known as the snake den. I didn't know about the history at all, but just walking in there gave me the creeps. I guess that bats are often found living in the dark cell, and it was here that the prisoners were punished. They would be stripped down to their underwear and then shackled into an iron cage. The cage was not tall enough to stand in, and no bedding or restroom privileges were given. So along with that and infrequent cleaning of the dark cell, there was a very horrid stench. The prisoners that were in the dark cell only received one meal a day, and that meal consisted of bread and water. And the only source of light for the dark cell was through a little vent in the ceiling for sunlight. The reason it is called the snake den is because guards used to drop snakes and scorpions through this vent onto the prisoners below. It is believed to be haunted by a little girl, and lots of prisoners had gone insane in the dark cell. So Ghost Adventures came and they actually did an episode here. It was episode 19 of season 14, called Hellhole Prison. While there, they believed to have documented and witnessed music being played and a performance by the Yuma prison band. And they discuss how the main entrance had 4 prisoners shot and killed there. They discussed the prisoners going insane and carving on the wall, and even a prisoner hanging himself in his own cell. Looking into the cells, I saw some pretty crazy carvings, one of which was a quote that said, "When slaves begin to reason, slavery begins to end." And other ones were just names and dates, such as one of them saying Mackenzie 1913. I'm guessing these were just the prisoners that were locked up, and that is kind of the time frame they were locked up in, or maybe the ones that were sentenced to death were marking this is where they were and this is the year they passed away. One of those prisoners was a guy named Martin Ubilos. He was actually convicted of murdering a fellow inmate and sentenced to be hung. The sheriff at the time, Gus Livingston, sent out a special engraved invitation for people to come watch the hanging. The day before the execution, Martin was weighed and a rehearsal was done using a sandbag. This was to determine the drop necessary for a quick death, because if the rope is too long, it will result in decapitation, but if it's too short, it will lead to him strangling for about 45 minutes. Before his execution, his hands and legs were secured, he was blindfolded, and the noose was placed around his neck so the knot was below his left ear. The execution then took place in front of many viewers when the trapdoor was opened and he fell through, which caused a rapid fracture dislocation of his neck. So it was definitely a lot of dark history. I got the creeps being in there, and then watching Ghost Adventures was just really creepy on top of it. But a very historical place to go and see in Yuma.